blend that 2 out. And what that'll do is help me prevent from going too high on my fades, right? And it gives me what I like to call my ending point. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this in, all right? Now, we're gonna remove some of that bulk. I'm gonna say we're gonna do kind of more of like a medium to high kind of fade. So I'm gonna set this number 2 in, right here. Now it's important too, once I set this number 2 in, that it's even all the way around. Because if I follow my 1-inch mark like I like to, which helps me stay consistent, then if one side's higher than the other, then my fade's gonna be off. All right? So for me, that looks about even there, right? All right, so now this is my number 2. Now, like I was saying before, I like to use my number 2 because this is the easiest to blend out, right? We could all clip over comb that out, shear over comb, clip over comb, whatever. You could blend that line out, right? Everybody's pretty good with it. So I like to call this my finishing point. And like I was telling my girls in salon, it doesn't matter how long it is up top. It could be 1 inch, it could be 4 inches, it could be 12 inches long. When I set up my stationary guide on the sides, all I have to worry about is fading to this 2. Then I can scissor cut the top, whatever style, length, or however I want the top, and then all I gotta do is come back over and clip over comb that out and I'm done. Make sense? So this 2 is where I combine my clippers and my shear work together. Cool? All right, so now I got my number 2 in there. Now, like I said, I need 1 inch worth of room to fade per step. And with my number 2 here, it gives me that inch worth of room to blend this out. So my fade's gonna land right in this area. All right, you guys got it? All right, so now we're gonna go into the fading part. Now we all know how these clippers work, right? All the way open is at its longest point. All the way short is at its shortest point, or closed is its shortest point, right? I break that down into 3. I go open, 2 clicks, medium, 2 clicks, closed, right? So inside each of my inch steps, I do an open, medium, and closed. You guys got that? I'm not confusing anybody? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with our 0, this is 0 guard. We go 0 into our 1, it goes into our 2, right? So we're gonna start off with our 0 guard. I'm gonna close this all the way up and I'm gonna put in my bald line. So this is my finish, we're gonna put in our start. Make sense? All right, so we're gonna go 0 guard closed to put in our bald line. Now, again, I need 1 inch worth of room to blend per step. So if I have a number 2 here and I'm going with my bald guard, I got 2 steps that go into my number 2, right? I got no guard, and then I got my number 1, hits my number 2. Make sense? So if I got my number 2 and I want to put my bald line, I'm gonna put my bald line in 2 inches under my number 2. All right? Now this is about 1 inch. If you're a beginner fader, go ahead and exaggerate your inches. Okay, guys do it all the time. So if you got to, go ahead and stretch it out a little bit more. Give yourself a good full 2 inches. And if your 2 inches goes under the ear, just ghost line it through the ear. And if this line is even around, you essentially can go in anywhere you want. And as long as your line is 2 inches under that number 2, that's all that matters. All right, so right about here for me is about my 2 inches. Again, if you're a beginner, go ahead and exaggerate that a little bit more. Say that again, I'm sorry. I like to clean everything off, and I always encourage, like, you know, my students, and when I'm teaching these fadings, yeah, clean it all out. Get rid of it. Because if you leave some hair there, it just makes things more confusing, and get it all out the way. All right? So like I said, now I have my number 2 up here, and I have my 0 guard. So this is my start, and this is my finish. All right, kind of simplify things. The top, we ain't even worried about the top yet. Right now we have our stationary guide around the side set up to where we want the fade to be. And now we're gonna bald and fade into it. Now if I do wanna do like, you know, extra bald, if we wanna add in extra steps, then I'll come in under my clipper clothesline about a finger's width, and I'll come up under it with my trimmers. So if I just want it to be a little bit balder, I'll come in about, again, about a half an inch or a finger's width under that line. I don't want to go all the way up to that line because then I'll just chase the fade, right? So I'm going to come in just a little bit up under that line. And then when I'm done with this, at the very end, if I want to, I can use my finishing shaver and we can foil shave the very bottom of the line too. But I'm just going to take this part down with my trimmer. All right. All right. So now we're going to start off with our clipper. Again, I'm going to start off. Now we're going to work bottom to top. Now that we have our guide set in. So the first step I'm going to do is 0. Okay. Now, I know some of the best faders in the world. They say if you don't put a line in it, you don't got to take it out. And that makes sense. I can't fade like that. I'm a basic barber, right? So I have to put lines in my haircut for me to see where I'm at. So I fade with the golden rule. You take it out with what you put it in with, okay? So we'll go over that a couple times. Now, so the first step we're going to do is I'm going to go with my 0 guard. I always start off with my clipper all the way open on each of my steps. Just the infamous thing, you could always take more off, you can't put more back on kind of thing. And I always like to start my step so I know where I'm fading to. So my first step is going to be 0 guard open, and I'm going to put my next line in 1 inch up, or basically splitting this in half, right? So now this is my 0 guard open. All right, so I'm all the way open. I'm setting in my next mark. All right. Now I'm going to close my clipper up halfway. 2 clicks. All right. So I'm halfway open and halfway up. I don't want to go all the way up to this line because I'll chase the fade, right? So again, I'm breaking each step down. Open, medium, and closed. So we're halfway open, halfway up. And while I'm doing this, I want to watch the bottom line lightening up without going higher than halfway up. Does that make sense? I'm looking more on watching this bottom line lighten up as I go around, all while making sure I don't go higher than halfway up while I'm doing it. All right. Now I'm going to go 2 more clicks all the way closed. I'm going to hit the very bottom line. Now I'm already doing the take it out with what you put it in with step, right? Because I set that in with my bald close. So when I go through it, it should be pretty close, but I'll go back in and make sure that there's not some areas that need to be kind of smoothed in together, right? All right, so now we're halfway open, all the way closed, hitting the very bottom line. All right, now we're going to go to the next step. All right, the next step's going to be my number 1. We're going to do the same steps: open, medium, closed. All right, here's a little gem. When we were talking about earlier about cutting, this takes the most amount of hair off. This takes the least amount of hair off, right? Same shear, same tool, most, least, right? If I lay this 1 guard closed, we'll say 1 guard closed, flat against the scalp, that cuts it at its most. That's the shortest a 1 guard closed will cut. All right, that's most. Least, when I elevate this clipper, that's the longest a 1 guard closed will cut. All right, so sometimes fading's not all about your lever. Sometimes it's the angle of your clipper. So my 1 guard closed, elevated, is more like a 1 guard open, right? So my 1 guard open elevated is more like a number 2, right? So whenever I'm going into these higher areas, I might want to be a little bit more elevated, and then maybe I'll work my way down a little bit more flush. But this is most and least. Make sense? We like to call it on your toes. We fade on our toes whenever you want to elevate your clippers. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So now we're going to go 1 guard open. Again, I might be a little bit more elevated, making sure I'm not cutting too much off going into there, right? So I might be a little bit elevated and kind of lighten it up a little bit, and then maybe I'll come in a little bit more flush to kind of come up under that a little bit. You'll have to decide which way is best for you based off of the hair density, the customer, the color of the hair, the texture of the hair. Might change certain things. But again, I want you to realize that fading is not always just your lever. Sometimes it's the angle of the clipper. So now there's my 1 guard open, staying right under my number 2. 2 clicks. I'm halfway open, halfway up. Again, remember, I don't want to go higher than halfway, because if I do, then I'll chase that fade, right? So now I'm halfway open, halfway up. Again, looking more, watching the bottom line lighten up more than, and making sure we're not going higher than halfway up. Can you guys see? Sorry if I'm in the way. All right, so we're halfway open, halfway up. All right, now we're gonna go all the way closed, 2 clicks. Now I'm gonna hit this very bottom line. Again, it's important we don't go higher than halfway up because then we'll chase the fade. Here's an area that's probably good for stretching the skin. All right. All right, so this is my 1 guard close. I'm at the very bottom. All right, but look, I still see a faint line in there, right? So now I got to take that out with what I put it in with. What did I put that line in with? Huh? Half? I don't have half guards. 0 how? Open. Correct. Boom. All right, so then now if I still see a line, I go back in, I take it out with what I put it in with, which is my 0 open. All right. And now I just want to kind of corner cut or just hit like the little bit of the area right here so I can kind of connect these two. Another thing that's useful for that too, here's a little gem. If you're trying to stay in like these tight little areas, again, I'm probably maybe more elevated right here too. But another thing that will kind of help you, if you're having a hard time staying in like a tight little area, right? Because they say this is called the C-scoop motion, right? That's how you want to naturally get when you're fading to get comfortable. C-scoop motion. You know how you practice this at home? Wine, whiskey, right? I'm Irish, so I could fade all day. But that's one of the moves. But it's not very easy to stay in a tight little area if you're trying not to go too high and you're doing this C-scoop motion. So if you're having a hard time with that, instead of doing the C-scoop motion, try to do a circle motion. You see how I can stay in that tight little area without going too high by doing a circle motion? Sometimes that can help you. It's a little bit more tedious. It kind of more like erases the hair than it feels like it's cutting it, but you can get some really nice blurry fades out of it. So if I want to stay in a tight area, I might come in more circular. No? Well, I jokingly laugh and say I'm very, nobody knows who the hell I am, but it's for a reason. I like to kind of fly under the radar, but I do have a lot of tricks and stuff to give you guys. But this circle fade helps you, again, stay in a tight little area without going too high. All right. And again, this doesn't have to be perfect either, because I'll come back in with my blending shears and I'll smooth all this out and fine tune it. All right. So let me go back in. Again, this is take it out with what you put it in with. So this is my 0 guard open. What's that? No, just my number 1. You said blending guards? No, I don't use any of the half guards, none of that. I just use my metal 2 guard to set this in, and the only guard that I use outside of that is my number 1. You guys don't need all the extra guards. All right, it took me a little while to get through it. I had the half guards and all that stuff too. I get it, but you don't need them. The only time you use half guards are where 2 guards combined. So when your 0 meets your 1, that's a half guard, and your 1 meets your 2, that's your 1.5. But you want to know how you eliminate those? I just told you. Elevate, be on your toes. My 1 guard open on my toes is like my 1.5 to 2. So I don't need those half guards. I just get on my toes or elevate your clipper. Yeah, and like I said, I'll bypass those because I'll still go back through all this and smooth it out with my blending shears and really fine tune this. Like I see a lot of imperfections still in there that I can kind of go through and point cut little areas, and I can blend some of this out with my blending shears, and I don't have to go in there and dig it out with my clipper, right? Because if I go one wrong spot, I put in a bald spot, and now I'm working out everything around it. Where I can be a lot more careless, I guess you could say, when I have my blending shears, because then I can just kind of come in here and I can blend it out just using these. I can point cut this little dark area. I'm not going to leave any holes. I can put this directly on the skin. I could blend all that stuff out just with my blending shears. I can do it a lot quicker and a lot kind of more carelessly. I don't have to worry about overcutting or taking too much out. This will do it all for me. All right. So now those are the steps. Let me go back over on this side. Here, real quick, we'll do the beard too. So when I'm doing the beard, I do the same steps I did here going up, I just reverse it. So I pretend like the bottom of the ear is my number 2. All right, and then I'm gonna walk my steps back. And here's how my steps look too, from start to finish. It's a 2, and this is how you know if you gotta take out a line, you take it out to what you put it in with. It goes 2, 1 open, 1 medium, 1 closed, no guard open or 0 open, 0 medium, 0 closed, and that 0 closed is your bald line. So that's basically the steps. All right. Now I'll do the same steps here. So if I'll pretend like the bottom of the ear is my number 2. I'll come in with my number 1. I'm going to walk it down backwards. I'm going to be a little bit more elevated. All right. So there's my open, 2 clicks, 1 medium, 2 clicks, my 1 closed, 0 guard open, 2 clicks, medium, 1 click closed. And then that's basically it. I mean, you can go in there and fine tune it some more yourself. Then the one thing I'll do, if he has a bigger, bushier beard like that, you see how, well, this side we already faded out. It's here and then it goes to long. I'll take my guard, my 1 open, all right, and then I comb it in. So I'll come in here and I'll just kind of comb that in. And then that'll just smooth it right into the beard. And then if you got any more you gotta do, you can kind of, shape in with your clippers, or even if I needed to, if I had to fine tune this, I would do it with my blending shears. I always blend out beards with my blending shears. This helps me get in there, see it specifically. I'll hit that little spot. I can fade all that out just with my blending shears. Cool? All right, so now we're gonna go to the other side. We're gonna do our same steps. All right, so now we have 0 guard open, set in my first step, which again is basically just kind of splitting this hair in half. So 0 guard open, we do 2 clicks, halfway open, halfway up. All right, 2 clicks all the way bald, hit the very bottom, hit that little spot. All right, next step, 1 guard open. Again, I'm gonna go up into my 2, so I'm gonna be a little bit more elevated on this one. All right, so there's our one guard open. 2 clicks. Halfway open, halfway up. Two clicks all the way closed, hit the very bottom. Then the golden rule, take it out with what you put it in with. All right, that was my 0 guard open. Go back in. I might do a little bit more of my corner cutting on this one. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because I'll come back in with my blending shears. I might be a little bit more elevated. All right. Easy. Yep, on my toes, yep. More like this. So I like to kind of on your toes cutting. Not like literally, but on your toes, all right? And then boom, we're done. So done with the fade part. I'm done with clippers after this, to be honest with you. Here, we're gonna do this beard real quick. Again, pretend like the bottom of the ear is my number 2. Come in a little more elevated. Couple closes. Keep working it down. And then kind of rake it in if need be. All right. All right, so that's it for the clippers. We're all done with clipper work. I could go in, I guess I could, if I want to nitpick this thing, I'll be here all day. All right. So then that's it for the clippers. Our stationary guide. So remember, it doesn't matter how long it is up top. The top we don't even care about. We set in our stationary guide in 1 inch under the area we want the fade to be. Even if it was a drop fade, I would have set the 2 in and dropped it all the way down. Whatever shape you want this fade to be, set it in with your number 2, 1 inch under where you want it to finally land. All right? Then you could worry about fading to it. All right? So now we get to the top. Now we want to set in our stationary guide for the top. Now I told you guys, I'd cut hair dry 95% of the time. Dry don't lie. The only time I ever wet the hair is anytime I'm doing any kind of sectioning or parting of the hair and I want to get nice clean sections. So, was this water? All right, we're gonna spray his hair down. I have to ask, cause look, I lost my smell to COVID 3 years ago, right? And I was doing a class one time and I grabbed the water bottle and I was spraying the guy down, right? And he's like making this like, and I'm like, come on, dude, quit being so soft. There's a little water, you know what I mean? And he kept making a face. I'm like, dude, relax, it's water. He's like, no, it's alcohol. And I couldn't smell it. I was blasting the whole side of this guy's face with alcohol because I couldn't smell it. So.
He's a lot nicer than I would have been, just sitting there.
Well, I was sitting there looking. I'm like, dude, come on, dude. It's a little bit of water. How am I going to do this class, you know? But it was like dripping in his eyes. He was like tearing up and shit. Oh, poor guy. He got a good haircut out of it. All right, so we're gonna wet the hair, all right, and now we're gonna do a center strip mohawk guideline. You guys heard of this before? It's pretty common. It's a state board haircut. We're gonna do the center strip mohawk guideline. I'm gonna break it down a little bit slower for you guys, so you guys can really see it. No? Okay.
We don't have a practical. You take it on a test or on a computer. You take your test on a computer.
How many hours? Oh, they told me last week. 9, 12, and 15, right? They're different levels, yeah. You know how much is in my school in Ohio? 1,800 hours. And if you do a crossover, it's an extra 1,000. So 2,800 hours to get dual licensed. That's crazy. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a strip down the middle about the width of a comb. All right, remember I always talk about this comb reference. I use it for my measuring for everything. So here we're gonna do, we're gonna split this down here. All right. Yeah, are they doing the apprenticeship here? No. All right. That's how Cleveland is, yeah. All right, so we're gonna put the strip down the middle here. All right. So now there's a strip down the middle. All right. So now this is considered my stationary guide for the top. All right. It's important I cut this to the length and shape that I'm cutting the top. If I cut this too short, everything's too short. All right. And we already wet the hair. So I want to cut it, leave it a little bit longer than what I would do because it is wet and it's going to shrink and bind up a little bit more, right? All right. Now look. When we pull the hair up off the front, if we're doing a crop top style haircut where I'm combing it all forward, all right, I don't see anybody with a crop top, but if I was combing the hair all forward doing a crop top cut, then I would pull this straight up off the forehead, right? And then I would slightly angle it to the back. So it's shorter in the back, longer in the front. So that when we comb this forward, it all layers together and combs forward. Okay? Make sense? Now if I was doing a pushback like my haircut, you wouldn't want to do that, all right? Because if I lifted this straight up the front and I angled this down to the back, right, and it was shorter in the back, longer in the front, when I go to comb this back, this is going to spike up like we talked about, and then this is going to sit on top of it and spike right out the back, right? It'll shoot. You ever see somebody whose hair sitting, spiking out the back, like, what the hell happened? It's because you cut it too short here, and this is sitting on top of it. So if I was doing a pushback like my hair, all right, I'd find the area I wanted to land. Say if I wanted to land like in this area, well, from here to here is that long. So then I would want the hair in this back part here to be this long so that when we combed it back, it landed where it needs to hit. So if I cut it like this, like if I was combing it forward, this would be short, this would spike on, this wouldn't comb back, it would spike up. So I'm gonna want that length, enough length, so I want to be a little bit more elevated in the back, so I have more length and weight in the back for this to comb over and carry through to the back. Does that make sense? Same thing with comb overs. We're gonna be combing the hair over to the right. So I'm gonna leave the comb over side just a little bit longer on the side we're combing over so it has more length and weight to carry all the way through. Because if this is too short, it's just gonna stack up and spike, right? So we wanna keep this a little bit longer. Make sense? All right, so now I'm gonna go through the middle. I'm not going to cut very much off of this. We're going to leave a lot of his length. I'm going to pull this up and we'll give it a little bit of a trim. All right, so I'll cut just this little bit off here.
What are you using?
I am using my HH6. Since he's combing his over, we can make his back just a little bit shorter in the back. And then gets a little bit longer to the front. You guys see that? All right, so now that I set in my stationary guide for the middle, I'm gonna take these off. I'm gonna comb everything back forward. All right, that was just setting in my guide for me to follow. Now what we wanna do is I'm gonna do 5 vertical sections. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Anything under my 4th and 5th sections is my clipper over comb work. All right. So we're just doing these 5 vertical sections up top. In each of my vertical sections, I'm gonna do 8 to 10 subsections or pulls. So when I go through the middle of this head, this is what it's gonna look like. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Comb it forward. All right. If you guys are doing these like 4 subsections, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, you're gonna notice those hard ridge marks in your haircut. Condense your subsections. They should be about the width of a comb. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sense? All right, so now for anybody that gets lost in your haircuts, all right, anybody gets lost in your haircuts at any point in time, you can always resort back to your center guide. All right, your length is gonna be in the center guide. So when I'm pulling up this haircut, when I lift these guides up, I'm gonna look for what we call the cat ears. All right, you're gonna see your guide in the middle and you're gonna see the cat ears on the end. And then we wanna cut to our guide. Make sense? So look, anywhere I go in this, if I pull this up, you see my guide? You see my cat ears in there? Right, I can go right here, pull this up. You see my guide? Anywhere I go in this haircut and lift up my hair, I'm gonna see my guide with my little cat ears on the side. Now we're gonna cut to our guide. This is where I do my notch cutting. Now I'm gonna leave the front a little bit longer. So I'm gonna pull this up off the forehead, find my guide, and then I'm gonna cut to my guide. So this is why this is a very good shear if you wanna get into notch cutting, because exactly what she said. Now I'm gonna come to my neck section. I'm gonna find my short. Now look, you can see I'm still cutting the hair. It's still straight across, but it's not that hard, blunt line.
Are these longer than yours?
Yeah, same shear, just a little bit longer.
This is a 5.5, right?
Yeah. Remember, our shears range from 4.5 to.
Suggest cutting with shorter when you're cutting like that?
I suggest that, yes. Doesn't have to be. It's just preference, but it's a lot easier to handle a shorter shear. A lot of people would typically like a 5 to a 5.5 in this scenario, and then use a little bit longer, a 6, 6.5, 7 for your workhorse. But it's preference. Some people will have one shear that does everything. I love my 6.5 for shear over comb, point cutting. They'll just say, I don't need all the different shears. I just want one cutting shear. All right, so your first section, we're pulling this straight up off the head, 180 degrees. Your second, third, fourth, and fifth, we're pulling it straight off the roundness of the head. So remember, the head's round, all right? So when I get into this second section here, I want to round my comb to that second section, and I'm going to come off like this. My third section is like this. My fourth is like this. And my fifth is like this. I'm coming straight off the roundness of the head. All right? I don't want to take this hair over here and straighten it out. That's over directing the hair. So make sure we're pulling this off the roundness of the head. So now my second section here, I'm going to be coming off like that. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to cut to my guide. So now my guide's already in there. And again, I'm still notch cutting.
Do you see how soft that finish is on that? So again, back to efficiency, which we love, right? That makes you guys faster. And in this setting, how do you make more money? You get faster, right? That's the only option you have. So that's going to give you that softer finish, which is going to reduce the amount of blending that you're going to have to do on the top.
Yeah, once I cut through this one time, I only have to cut it once and one time only. It's going to lay in exactly how I want it. I'm not going to have hard ridge marks. I'm not going to have to go in there and cross-check my work. I'm not going to have to do anything. I set in my guide, and I just cut to it. And that's what's great about working with Ashley, too, is, yeah, I'm primarily a barber. She was dual, right? She did men's and women's hair. So, again, she's more knowledgeable than me in this. I'm just a specialist in short hair. But it's great having her around because then she can piggyback and explain what the shears will do in longer hair or hair that I might not be used to myself. All right, so real quick. So now I cut it down to the length I want. Look, that's already laying in nice and smooth and even, right? There's not hard ridge marks. It lays in really nice. We will go back through and fine tune it. Now, if I did want to add a little bit of more texture or break that up a little bit more, I would use my VT1. Again, VT stands for visual texture. I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'm going to go through and just kind of break up the ends a little bit. This will help soften up the ends. It'll take out a little bit of unnecessary weight in certain parts of the haircut. It will give it a little bit of that volume. You can already see it's already starting to like kind of flare up a little bit.
That's the one that come back for, right?
Yes. Yeah, this is my favorite.
This is our number one selling texturizer.
Yeah.
Amongst barbers, hairdressers, it doesn't matter. This has been our
that
Yeah.
we've sold for at least the last 10
Look,
years.
I'm going through it already, and you could already kind of see it standing up, right? Before it was laying down kind of flat. It's already starting to kind of poof up some and give some of that volume over it in these areas. So, all right, so now what we're gonna do, now that I cut through the top, I added my little bit of texture, gave it even a little bit of volume with it, all right? So then now, the only thing that's left is clip over comb our line in, right? So, I'm gonna take my flat top comb. Now, I use a triple lot when I do my clipper over comb, all right? A triple lot and a flat top comb combined equal a number 1. All right, so this is my cushion. I'm not gonna cut anything under that because this is gonna cover it. This is not gonna cut a number 1. It's only gonna cut the hair that's left. Does that make sense? So, help you out here a little bit, bud. All right, so when we pull the hair off the top, we go 180 degrees off the top. Sides are 90 degrees, all right? 90 degrees from the side, that drops the natural layers. Fading is 45 degrees. This is considered the spine of the comb. I wanna grab the hair, angle the comb at a 45 degree, and I wanna cut what falls out the spine of the comb. Now, it's important that when I'm doing my clipper over comb, that I'm coming across the entire clipper blade or the comb. Because if I'm just cutting the bottom part, but I wanna kinda go like this, you see how the bottom part of my clippers are exposed? That's gonna drag across the side of somebody's head and leave bald lines all around the side of the head. So be careful and make sure you're using this comb flush against it. So again, what I wanna do is I wanna come in, I'll go around the entire room. I wanna come in, I wanna grab the hair, I wanna angle it at a 45 degree, and what falls out the spine of the comb is what we cut. You see it over there, Jake? All right, same thing with you guys. Come in, scoop, 45 degree, and what falls out is what we cut. Same thing for you guys, sorry. Scoop the hair, 45 degree, and what falls out is what we cut. All right, so now, sorry bud, I got hair all over you, my guy. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna blend this in. And this doesn't have to be perfect, so I'm gonna go in and blend this out with my shears. I just wanna remove some of this weight. So just a couple little, and this will start smoothing everything in. And remember, because I'm using my triple lot and my flat top comb, it's not gonna cut anything under the area that we're fading. See how quick that blends that in? I want to hit a specific area, I can kind of come up with it. But again, if there's, all my detail work's going to come in at the end with my shears. I just want to remove this weight line as best as I can fairly quick. And then it gives me more time for detail work. All right, now that I did that, all right, so now we'll come through and fine tune everything with my shears. All right, so I see a lot of problems already in this haircut that I got to fix with my shears. I see this area that needs to be fixed. I see this area that needs to be fixed. I see this area that needs to be fixed. I see this area that needs to be blended. I see a little bit in there that needs to be worked out. I see this little weight line that needs to be blended out, and I see this thickness in here. Then when I'm done blow drying, I'm still gonna kind of go in and I'm gonna play with a little bit of the front here, because you see how that piece is sitting and it's a little bit heavier. I'm gonna blend that little piece in a little bit more, and I might take a little bit of this weight out where it connects. Did you guys all see that? All right, good. Well, I mean, because I get really detailed, and yeah, you might look at it, but what I want is by far to think that this haircut is finished. And again, the finishing steps are going to be more of the blend work with my shears. So I'll start off with my 14T, right? That's the one that's at my parietal ridge and lower. Now, yeah, my 14, yeah.
They're very, very different.
Yeah, so this 40 is a little bit really aggressive, so I'm not going to need it so much because it really is just right here at the parietal ridge where my clippers, where like my bald lines are. Remember, I can point cut this here. So if I still see some spots right there, I can point cut them out.
This is where normally you'll use those pads, right?
Yeah, it could be. It could be the whole blending part. This again just helps me blend out, really smooth out any lines. Like right here, I see a little bit of dark there. That's typical. You'd be point cutting that little area. You might be trying to point cut this little area, or maybe just overlooking them. These will help you get more detailed in there, right? All right, so now I'm gonna go above the parietal ridge. So I worked that out. Now I'm still seeing my next little weight line I wanna work. I'm gonna go above the parietal ridge. So I'm gonna go with my 14T. All right, so this is gonna smooth everything in. Yeah, this 14T is a little bit more universal. You can use this under the parietal ridge too. And I love this. This is a great blending shear. I only use that 14T when I'm like really in some like really like tight areas. All right, this one again is gonna be a little bit from your blend from your parietal ridge and above, or your hat band line and above. All right, and something else that's cool about this shear too, and I'm gonna show you in 1 second, is this shear comes in 2 different lengths. So right now I'm still working out this part. So I use that 14T right here to blend it out. And again, this is the smaller version, so it helps me get like a little bit more detailed. We do make it in a 7-inch version, which is amazing, and I love this 7-inch one. And it's the same like we were talking about with the other shear. Whenever I'm doing my clipper over comb, I like to use a longer shear. It helps eliminate, it makes it work a lot easier. So I'll use this one again. We'll use this one at above.
So if you only do men's work, this is probably a better investment for you, in my opinion.
It's a great shear.
Yeah,
Ew.
because you're going to use it in this position most of the time.
Yeah, it's going to save you a lot of time. All right, so we're going to just kind of work this one around.
And that's a 7-inch, you said, right?
This is a 7-inch, correct. Again, it's preference. I like them. I love them both. That's why I have them both. So it is a preference thing. But this is a great shear to have. All right, so right now we're just kind of blending that in.
It's like a line blurrer.
All right, so now that we did that, now I'm going to come back through, and now what I want to do is I'm going to blow dry and style the top, and I'm just going to give it one more little finish. Actually, I'm going to go in on that cowlick a little bit. I'm going to use that 14T like we talked about. I'm going to try to soften this up a little bit because it's spiking up. So we'll take a little bit of that curve out.
So another thing, notice how when he closes it, he can slide through the hair. How many
Yeah.
of you have a texturizer that when you close it, you can continue to move it?
Can you notice? Can you guys notice how I just softened that up a little bit more? And I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but I definitely softened that up a little bit more just to make it a little bit more style and manageable. All right. Now what we're going to do at the very end is now we're gonna go in and blow dry and style it, and then I'm gonna hit my very end piece. Actually, I still got that little piece here. When I get to the top, remember I like to use my 6T. All right, this is a great one. I'll just comb through the hair and kind of feather out whatever jumps out that jumps up off of the comb. Yes, and you will not, like she said, you will not overcut with these.
This one, no.
You-
This one comes in a standard 6.
You see this little spot we were talking about earlier where there's that little bit of weight spot? I'll kind of comb up and I'll just kind of pop through it a little bit. This will even add a little bit of extra little texture and volume to that. So we can get some nice movement. And again, same thing right through here. I still see a little bit of that. I'm just gonna comb through and I'm just gonna hit the ends of this.
Magic trick.
Right? All right, so then now after I'm done with this, we're gonna blow dry this. Okay, I'm gonna line them up real quick. Just kind of give you a little bit of a natural line up. A little line in there, just to get them up, cleaned up. All right, so now that we did that, now we're gonna blow dry and style this. Yep, sea salt spray. This is Birds. You ever seen that one?
I've seen it online.
Yeah, smells good.
So good. It's like the beach, but for men.
Yeah.
You know?
Now we're gonna just. Oh. So now we have that. This allows me to kind of go in. And again, that's why I like to blow dry, because now I can see a little bit more weight areas that I would like to just smooth out a little bit more with my blending shear, right? So I can kind of give this a once over.
Which shears again?
This is my 14T, because I'm in that above the parietal ridge area, but not all the way at the top.
It does smell so good, right? It's like not a mass or a feminine beach smell, which is hard to find.
Right?
You just don't want to smell like that.
No. If I go home smelling like warm vanilla and coconut,
That smells
my
like
wife
sex
is on
wax.
my
I don't know if
ass.
anyone knows.
The hell?
Do you know what sex wax is?
My wife will catch a piece of glitter that could be over the back corner part of my head from 2 weeks. She's like, what the hell?
Like a bottle of
What the hell? What's that?
how much is like the bottle?
For sale, we retail sell it for 16. I think, I'm not sure exactly the distributor price. I mean, I'll give you, where's Alex? I'm gonna give him one of my cards. If you guys want me to have him send you like a little care package of products, I'll have them send it to you guys, and then they'll have all the pricing on there. All right, so now, like I said, I'm just doing my little once over, fine tuning it. Feel like everything looks good. We're gonna put a little bit of product in it. Now, if I wanna kinda, again, I could add a little bit more volume, but look, I cut a lot of hair off and add that volume, and again, his hair looks like it's nice and poofy, right? Looks like he's got more hair, and we clearly cut enough hair off, right? So now I'll just put a little, they actually make a texture powder spray. If you guys are using like Slick Gorilla and stuff, they just came out with a texture powder spray in an aerosol can. This shit is fire. But he doesn't need it on his because I cut the product in there. So we're just going to use a little bit of a matte finish.
Are those Honzo clippers?
Yes. Yeah, those I'll show you. I'll use those at the very end. They're not as extremely sharp as some of your precision trimmer blades are, but they're sharp and they're dialed in to where you can cut women, kids. You could still do beards, but it's not too sharp where it irritates the skin. And one of the things that's great about our clipper is that the blade is made with the same metal as the shears. So they're gonna stay sharper a lot longer. So you're not gonna have to worry about, that clipper will stay sharp and last you a really long time.
We just make that one trimmer.
Just the one, yeah.
And we used to make a different one. This one is much better. We upgraded.
All right, so now,
You're a whole new guy.
yeah, buddy. All right, so now on this particular cut, I used, let's see, I used yeah, so I just used 7 different shears on that haircut. All right. Now, I'm not saying you guys need all 7 shears for that haircut. That's not necessary. But what I think all professionals should absolutely have a solid 4 shear set. All right. And we'll get into that in a second. Now, if everybody in the room got a 4 shear set today, everybody's 4 shear set would look different. We don't have a standard 4 shear set that we sell. We customize it to what makes sense for you behind the chair. One setup that's very common that I like to preach that I think everybody should have, I think everybody should have a long as your workhorse, a short that's your detailing shear, all right? You need a blender. Now look, these two are the same, so you just gotta pick your preference, what size you like. This is the 14T, and a 6 and a 7. I love them both, you don't need them both, you can eventually get them. Pick what size you like better. You might like the longer one better, all right? So that one's over this. Now, when it comes down to the 2 blenders, my 40T is my parietal ridge and lower. My 14 is above, but you can go below with your 14. Does that make sense? So if I had to choose between one blender, I would take my 14T over my 40 just because it has more uses. So that would be my blending shear. All right, and we'll say we'll do it in the 6 because that's the most common size. All right. And then between these two, these are both of the 2 that I use at the very top. This one's just my blender, but this one does texture, volume, and weight removal. So this one's the one that's more important to me. This is a specialty shear.
What's the name?
This is a VT1. And I'll go over that in a second too. So this might be what your 4 shear set looks like. This is a great 4 shear set for all professionals. Your workhorse, your long, your detail, your short, your blender, and then your texturizer. But you might say, look, I don't need a long and a short. I only cut with one size, or I already have a long. I don't need that. I just want the short. So then you don't need that. So then you might say, I'll take the 2 blenders, the texturizer, and the cutting shear. All right. Now we do 2 shear sets, 4 shear sets. All right. Your 2 shear set, you're looking at about $150 down, about $85 a month. All right. Your 4 shear set, you're looking at about $275, maybe $300 down, and around $120 a month. All right. It's just stretching out the payments more.